Welcome to On a Way with Ilse Botman in conversation with Ilse Botman. Ilse is a general manager of the Centre of Excellence at SAFCOL, and SAFCOL is the South African Forestry Company Limited. Welcome, Ilse. You are, more importantly, my daughter and the mother of my grandchild, Matthew. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, Mom, for having me.
Today we're going to just chat about the two of us as mothers. And I think before I say what I think, what kind of a mother I am, I want you to say what is it that you think about me, especially in the time that you were growing up.
Mm. I think, Mom, you were somebody who was firm and strict. Strict is a better word. There were boundaries, and there was also, well, for me, and I think Roxanne also a strong sense of we have to be disciplined, and yeah, we have to. There's certain ways in which to conduct yourself. I think for us also, or for me, education and knowing that I must work hard is also something that came through very strongly for me, and also that how to look after myself, how to to look after myself, how to be independent. Um, on the other side of that, there was nice times of laughter, traveling. Um, I just think with everything there was there was purpose also. Just for instance, like when we go on a Heritage Day, that is one of the like a good example. On a Heritage Day, there's always a story and learning something about heritage and not just a holiday. So yes, a place where you also had a loving side, and I just I think now when I'm a mother, I don't know how you got all the time to do things, and and I think that is also something that you see when you put in that position. I do think also like before you got married, there was fun. It was fun. There was lots of outings. There was time with the family, time with like Auntie Celeste and those people that
This Auntie Celeste is one of my best friends, and she's also your
yes,
godmother.
she is.
Yes.
So those are the kind of things that I remember. It was activity filled. We would go out. We would enjoy it. It was an enjoyment of life.
But our family life changed when I got married. And I think, but one of the things that I actually am very proud of is to give you a father, a father who respected you and who raised you as one of his own, although being a step parent is not a easy, plain sailing thing, and we don't have all the answers within all of us to do everything that we might think that we are. What do you remember about um, did I change in terms of what do you think? Did I change in terms of my parenting when I was married, and you had other siblings that you had to cope with? Well, I know you were still very young.
I think, like I say, there was just I think more stress on you, more, there wasn't as much time for us to just hang out or do the things that we, used to do, like go and drive and get ice cream and those kind of things. And I think I was able to be more independent, and you had other, I would say, I can say other, things
Responsibilities.
responsibilities that you had to deal with. And I think in terms of dad, I think you also know that in my perspective and in my view, I view dad as my father, and I'm certain that he also viewed me as his daughter, as his child. So I think I was lucky that the person that you decided or you fell in love with and you married then also worked out well for me.
Yeah, but you know that the example. I know we took you ice cream and we used to go to Cork Bay, and then I drive on Boys Drive, and there was
Which the
that little
municipality has completely
stop. Yes, because
spoiled.
then I would just speed up a little and then
Mm.
just jump over, almost like we're jumping over, and it was great fun for the children, and all the children in the family got that as a treat from me. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had some petrol, and I
Mm.
could buy ice cream and then take them for that special drive. But you mentioned Heritage Day, and Heritage Day only started in 1995, I think, with the change in our democracy. Before that, on the 24th of September, we didn't have a Heritage Day. And so from the very first Heritage Day, we as a family, um, the first one was with Roxanne also. So it was four children and dad and I. And I remember the first one, Auntie Celeste, and her, I think she had one child at the time. She was living in England. And she came and we went for our first Heritage Day to Auntie Charlene Nissen in Genadendal. That was our first. And we as a family, it was an institution that on Heritage Day we go and we do something to do with heritage for a learning experience for all of us.
Mm. There's always a learning experience, even a joke on the internet, but yes.
Yes, everything is a learning experience. Going to the shopping in the shop is a learning experience because then you had to show me what fruit is this and what is the color, how many are there, and those things. Everything you went is a learning experience. And I found out that you could read. I didn't know that you could read. And on a trip that Auntie Celeste and you and I went to, I think we went to Johannesburg, one of the places we went and we stayed at the Salesians there in Innerdale, close to Innerdale, which coincidentally is the same place where Dad's family is from, and we saw the places that we saw when you were still a little girl. Anyway, so we went on those holidays, and we traveled by car, and we went to Sun City. You went to Sun City for the first time. Yeah, and I remember, I think it was just after we came back from that trip no, it was on that trip, we stopped in one town or another, and you have never been before, and you looked up and you said, Pick and Pay. And that is when I knew that you could read. I think you were 3 years old, because every Friday afternoon, the two of us would take Ma to go and do the shopping at Pick and Pay. We were still living with her. And so I didn't know that you recognized that word. And you mentioned how busy my life became, and you were right. I was teaching, and I had these four children in the family. I had a very busy husband who was the minister um, of a congregation, as well as teaching at UWC, as well as other social commitments, community involvement. And so, yes, it was tough going. And I do remember something that I regret is that I didn't give you all the attention in your education as I would have liked to. And I think I let myself um, be drawn into the children who didn't really have that same commitment. The children in my new family, blended family, who didn't really have that same commitment to their schoolwork. So they took quite a lot of my energy and my attention. And what is sad for me and what I regret is the thing that when I realized that you can read independently. So I've always read to you from the very word go, even before you were born. Tell stories, read stories, play music. Every night you'd get your story, and then that roller coaster. And then suddenly my little girl could read her own stories. And that was very sad for me.
I must just say, I don't think you need to be sad because with Matthew, these things sort of just happen. Like I told you that day when we took him for his first haircut, and then suddenly he was counting to 10. And all the from 6 weeks, the tummy time and all these things, and nanny and me, and all those things that you guys said is not necessary. And then suddenly I didn't realize that he could count to 10. But I think it also just happens. They sort of just, the kids sort of just do a thing when they are ready to do it. So and also for me working and Matthew at home with Tuli, as I also feel guilty because sometimes I don't see, like I said, every week it's something new and you realize he's saying something new, but it's exactly that every week it is something new, and eventually the little puzzle pieces in their brains click in, and then all the foundational work that you've been putting in suddenly falls into place, and then they can speak or count to 10 or read. So that's what I've learned. I don't think you should feel too guilty about that particular.
Yes, I realized that, but just that moment that I realized it made me sad. Yeah, and Matthew's nanny, Tuli, is a wonderful person in his life, and I admire you for the way in which you treat Tuli in your family, and how you respect Tuli for the input that she's making in Matthew's life and Matthew's learning, and also for what you invest in Tuli for improving Tuli's life and all her skills and a person. I'm very proud of you for what you and how you conduct that relationship on a professional level between you as the mother of the child and Tuli as the child carer of your child when you are working, but also on a personal level.
Mm.
Very proud of you.
I am Tuli's. Thank you, Mom. I'm Tuli's employer also, so I always. It's sometimes difficult, but you also have to remember that, and um, just there's a lot more. I think resources available, sort of to me, and to us now as parents than was previously. Even
Yes.
in the context of when you hire a nanny, how do you treat them? Um, so the one resource that we use is also like Nanny and Me with occupational therapists. But one thing that they also speak about is this is what a contract looks like. This is a fair wage. This is fair time. Organizations and like that that are also assisting us. And I never thought that I would have a nanny because for us growing up, it was just not like it's unheard of, you know. Um, it was the grandmas used to look after, or Matthew would have had to go to school. But I also think Matthew's dad, Tubbs, also played a big role in that, and he was the one who said you can't. He's not comfortable with me having to be all alone. And he wants he found Tuli and he makes sure that everything is fine and that. So I think he's also his influence has also brought Tuli into our lives, and honestly, without Tuli. So I just want, yeah, I, honestly, without Tuli, I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I am able to do to do all the work as effectively as I am able to, because Tubbs obviously works away, you know that. So he works away most of the time. And so I would have been all alone with Matthew, and especially just after giving birth. Yeah. So we can also just his influence on our family is also coming through there with Tuli as well.
The fact that you mentioned how there is more information available to you and the way information is made available is different to the time that I was a single parent. I You are co-parenting with Matthew's father, and he's very involved with Matthew and with your life. My experience was with raising you in the initial years were totally different. And I came to your relationship with Tubbs and having Matthew as part of your family from my experience, which was totally different. And brought my, as we say, my baggage um, to how I see and how I understand that relationship. And I'm very proud that you can that I have daughters who can stand up to me and challenge me on my beliefs and my understanding of things. It is not easy to hear it, but I appreciate that you care enough about me to tell me and challenge me on things that I view differently, understand differently, and that I experience differently.
Okay, I think most definitely I think there's room for different understandings and definitions. I think of what family is, how a household should be, because if we are honest, the old patriarchal marriage covenant is also not, you know, not doing well for itself at this stage. So there's room for there's different types of families, different types of relationships, and different ways in which you live your life that is different to the nuclear family setup. And you're right, it's not always easy to come to you with. There is actually nothing in my life that I feel like I've done that was, you know, in the recipe of this nuclear family that we all what, you know, told is the desirable outcome. It's not easy, but I also just know that I I'm just doing what
Yeah.
I think is right and what is comfortable, and what leaves me at
Mm.
peace, and I can live my life.
Yes,
Yes.
and for me, I had the same kind of issues with my mother, in terms of what I see, what parents should do, and we had similar kinds of disagreements about a number of things, and also but at the same time, my mother, although we disagreed on many things, she was a great supporter of my mother Gertrude, Gertie, as she is well known as, and she, although we didn't see things through the same specs, for to put it funnily, we could respect one another for the difference. And it's not easy to conduct adult relationships with your adult children. But you and Roxanne in particular, you always remind us when we challenge you, or I challenge you about something, then you will take us back on what kind of education did you give you. This is exactly what we taught you, and so you make me think, and reconsider what I say. Now, I do believe that I have a voice, and so I will use my voice, but I know that it's not necessarily what you accept or that you agree with. Oh, yes. So, in that way, I will always say what I think, but I am open to be challenged on that. Now we have Matthew in our lives, and he brings a new dynamic and a new energy into our family and into my life. But I wanted, before I speak about Matthew, um, I want to express um, the dependency I have on you in particular as my child, who in very certain, a very definite sense, although you are not the oldest in our blended family, you are the third in the row, you had to respond to the responsibilities of the oldest child in many instances. Also, when dad was still around. And then when he passed away, you and my daily voice and my daily soundboard fell away, and you stepped in that role. You check in every single day with me, um, and now I get my when Matthew, since Matthew is around, I get two check-ins, one in the morning and one in the evening, just to talk about my daily mundane things that I'm doing. Um, you are the only one that I tell those things to, that knows what I'm doing from day to day. I know sometimes you don't keep up because sometimes I'm quite busy. And you are the one that I can consult on of my major decisions when I want to move. What sort of house do I have to move to? If I want to buy a new car, then you will do this. I will talk to you, will talk me through, and you will ask me difficult questions that I can't answer. What is the clearance of the car? I have no idea what that even means, but then you will explain. And you're not always patient with me because I have to learn a lot because the world is totally different to the one that I grew up in. But I know that if whatever you always do enough because you're my soundboard. And what, as I said, I'm happy that you can tell me um, if you disagree with what, and I also don't always have to listen to what you
What
are
is?
saying. Yeah.
I'm happy. I must say, yeah, I'm happy that you can also that we can participate in each other's lives to the extent that we do. I know since Matthew, the check-ins have become a bit more chaotic, and I don't always have the capability or capacity to listen to you, especially when you want to see Matthew as well. But I'm happy that you are such a large portion still of my life, and we are able to have a good relationship. Um, and especially since Matthew's there, it's also something that Dub said once, because when you started, everyone has their own things. He said he's never seen that family speak every single day to each other. He's never seen something like that. So it's not normal. It is exceptional. Let's call it like that. Not weird, but exceptional that we are able to have that in this day and age, and where we are phases of life. So it's something that I also deem as important to be able to do that. And also for me, in terms of the context of having a different kind of family, since dad passed, we still need to make decisions about money and things like that. And in the same way, when I have questions, I can talk to you also about it, and we can discuss it as best as we can, or advise each other where to get some different kind of advice. So I think it also for us in terms of how our family works, this is how we we are as a family, how I see it up in our structure.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the very valuable things about our relationship is that having an opinion for me as a parent, and I have my opinions, and some of them are strong opinions, and I express them in a strong way. But I think being open to being challenged or being to or having been sort of confronted with an opposite or different a viewpoint that we as parents, I think that is as parents, as a dad and I, that we could do that. We raised our children to have opinions, and so that means the opinions might also differ from ours. And I do admire you for the, in particular, for the career choice that you have made when you came to us and said, this is the career that I would like to pursue. Were in no position to say yes or no or anything because we had no clue about forestry. Our point of reference and our life experience were very, very limited because of the structure of our society at the time, our choices, teacher, nurse, minister was about the social worker, was with the professional kinds of options that we had. Here you come, I want to go into forestry. I've never even known there was such a career. And that you've excelled um, in that way. When we are very proud. I remember Dad asking me every January,
You still want to study this?
"Are you still sure?" Yes,
Yes.
and then she would answer, "Yes, Dad."
Mm,
Yeah, and
mm.
so yeah, and so I value that, and I'm very proud that that you have excelled in your career also in that field. But now, little Matthew is is such an important part of my life. If in the morning that you can't phone, or in the evening when I'm not available, that particular conversation is really missed. I feel that I missed something in that, and I really have great fun with him. I think we have a kind of a special connection, the two of us, Matthew and I, in terms of how we relate to one another, and um, I I am happy and glad that I am tolerated to come and visit as often as I would like to.
Mom is Matthew's shop steward. Everything that she sees is uncomfortable or whatever, she will say. You will say, no, Matthew doesn't want this. Matthew doesn't want that. Matthew should do it like this. Matthew should. So that sometimes, that can sometimes be irritating. I'm not going to lie. But, but I think also sometimes it is, what is Matthew might actually be, Matthew's voice might actually be, heard, and I understand it's just a place of wanting to have the best for Matthew. Maybe just I think one of the things that I often these days think of you and Dad also is we are now starting to look at where Matthew will go to school, starting pre primary or whatever you call it, grade XXX or 000 when he's 3, and we're looking for a institution or a place where you can have a solid foundation, you can learn how to think, and I strongly take that from you and from Dad, because if we give him a good education, then nobody can take anything that away from him, and so he can also then have a good foundation to be the person that he then decides to be and love the life he wants to love. So I think that's what I'm taking forward very firmly with Matthew, something that what I've been based on. And I started when Matthew was 6 weeks old with his development and just making sure he's on track. Yeah, and I just feel that I need to show him everything and give him that as that foundation, as in terms of education, but also as a person and the value he'll be able to add to society.
Thank you, Ilse, for those words. Um, it's good that we can um, always recognize that things change and that the opportunities that dad and our generation had are different to the opportunities that you had. And now you can see I regard even your opportunities as being limited, although they um, are vast in relation to the opportunities we had and we were exposed to. And now for Matthew as a next generation, it's the world is growing ever bigger, and it is important that, and I'm very happy and I'm very proud of you that you are engaging with the world, so that Matthew is becomes or is already in his way a citizen that is valued and that adds value to our society. So that is, for me, the only thing that we can do in raising our families, being part of our communities. And he is the joy and of our life, and he's very funny, and he makes me laugh, and he gives a new purpose to my life that I really appreciate. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining On a Way with Beryl Botman in conversation with Ilse Botman. Walk tall, tell it all. You've been listening to On a Way with Beryl Botman. You can purchase my books online on Amazon, Take-A-Lot, and at bookstores like Exclusive Books, Bargain Books, Independent Bookstores, and Barnes & Noble internationally. To connect with me, please follow me on Facebook to learn more about my book launches and talks. You can write to me at beryl.botman60@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.